Hi, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Coach Sherry, and today is day number 66 of going live every day for 90 days. And that is the challenge that I am in. I'm not even sure where I should be looking, but I'm just going to look right here. But that's the challenge that I'm in. And I appreciate everyone again for supporting me through this challenge and coming to the lives, coming to the replays. I appreciate that. I love the interaction and just reconnecting with some people that I've been connected with for a long time and also meeting new people. So tonight I wanted to do something a little different, and I see Elevate with Vern is in the building. And I want to open this up to all of the, especially the women, but the men as well. I have some dynamic men that also are part of this team. So I am inviting you to come up here because I want this topic. I want to hear from you. What would you tell your younger self? Looking at my analytics, I've realized I have people of all ages that tune in and watch. And I know a lot of times people are tuning in for advice, personal advice, professional advice, especially. But with personal advice, sometimes it's the lessons learned, it's the experiences, the teacher. And I definitely want to share some things that can give people the experiences that we've had, the things that we would do again or not at all. And I just want to have it out here in the atmosphere. I know for me, as a mother of three young adults, I always talk about, just things from back in the day. I really have no regrets. But there are some things that, I do would like to have told my younger self. So when I look at my children, especially my girls, I always look at them as my younger self. And I tell them, different things. And they are at that perfect age where they are starting to really pay attention and are asking me even more questions. I always tell them I am the after picture. They remind me so much of myself, as I stated in my pre record video that I posted today. But, I just think it's important as we reflect on the different stages that we are in life. And when we have an impact on young people, whether we know them personally or as content creators and we're out here putting information, for all to receive, I think it's really important that we share the do's and the don'ts. I see Slasher Chick is here. Thank you for being in the building. And let's see. That no, I don't know. Listen, oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. I receive it. Thank you, Elevate with Vern. You are beautiful as well, my sister. And Slasher Chick is saying that's one piece of advice would be about take the risk, sis. Yes, you will only regret the shots you don't take. Yes. When you have that ball, don't hesitate. Just take the shot. Listen, you got the ball because you were in perfect position. So take that shot or do something with the ball, dribble, pivot, do something, but don't throw it out of bounds. Do not throw it out of bounds. So I have some different areas that I want us to talk about tonight. So the first is about self-acceptance and confidence. What will you tell yourself, your younger self, about self-acceptance and confidence? So as I'm sharing this with you, be sure to write it down so you can start thinking about your responses. The second is about relationships and social connections. What would you tell your younger self about that? The next is education and career. What would you tell your younger self? Self care and mindset. What would you tell your younger self? I have met so many people, mature adults, who are telling them they would tell their younger self, because I was asking today certain people, you know, don't listen to your environment, because sometimes your environment, they can't see what's inside of you. They can't see your passion. They can't feel your passion. And so they may discourage you from going for it. And I could not believe how many people I encountered today that said that they did not move forward with things they wanted to in life because their family said, no, go the traditional route. That's too risky. Take a regular job, go that way. And they regret it. But I always say it's never too late. Listen, my great aunt, she's not my great aunt, my aunt, my father's sister that was 90 years old that just passed away, became an actress in her 70s. She's on commercials. So, it's never too late to live your dream. Unless there's something like synchronized swimming, if you want to do some type of diving, something that would definitely require a younger person's body to do. I see Olivia Love is in the building. Hello to you. Thank you for being here. All right, you're going to come up. All right. So I am going to put the link in the chat for who would ever would like to come up. And I'm not going to have everyone up for a long period of time, because I want to give everyone a chance. But also, as you come up, you can come back up. Let's put it that way. All right. So if you come up and go down, it's kind of like walking into a room. You can come up and down. Y'all, if I seem a little groggy or whatever, literally, I took a nap. I was tired and I just had to lay down for a little bit. Sometimes those little bit of naps, they just hit different. Can you believe I took a nap this late? I'm like a baby. I'm like a little baby. All right. So again, these are going to be the areas we're going to focus on. The first one is self-acceptance and confidence. What would you tell your younger self about self-acceptance and confidence? So I want to say, for me, let's see. I would say don't be afraid of who you are and what you bring to the table. And I'm going to write that out so that we can see exactly what it is so we don't lose it. Let me see. I'm going to make it into a banner. So the first is self acceptance and confidence. All right. Let's see. All right, there we are. Self acceptance and confidence. So, when you think about self acceptance, especially as a young person, they have so many things that they're like, oh, I don't like this about me, or, you know, I'm good at that, but I'm gonna stand in the back. I'm not gonna go to the front. I I would tell myself, continue to go to the front. I was not one of those that would go in the back. I would say continue to go to the front, but not only go into the front, but also look to how you can improve. I was one of those that a lot of things came easy to me, to do. And because it came easy, I would cut up. I would cut up, y'all. I would, be distracting. For the other people that were part of it, for my friends. And so they would end up not doing as well because here I am cutting up because I got it and I didn't look to like bring them up with me. And as a young person, I think that's challenging. One of those that each one teach one moment is hard to grasp when you're young. And I wish I would have grasped it when I was like in high school, when I was in college. I mean, there's so much that you can give even as a young person. And I reached back to younger people, a lot younger, but to my peers. I never wanted to appear as that leader or the one that was in the forefront. So I always like to blend. I would blend in, blend in. But no, everyone's not meant to blend in. And if you are meant to be that leader, if things are coming easily to you, if ideas used to come so easily to me, I would always be able to figure things out. We would always call ourselves going on excursions or capers, my friends and I, my crew. And I would always be like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. We'll get back. Or, I remember we went to the Luther Vandross concert in the Meadowlands and we didn't have a ride back. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Meadowlands in New Jersey, but it's not on the beaten path. You have to drive. Now it's a little different. I think they have public transportation, but back then it wasn't like that. And so when they would have big concerts and things, you had to have a car to get there. And listen, I don't know how we my friends trusted me. They did, and I'm so thankful for that. And I needed to have really appreciated it even more back then, how much they trusted me. But we went to the concert. We got a ride to the Meadowlands, and for some reason, like all of our parents were going somewhere, and no one was able to pick us up. My brothers weren't available, and usually they would be our go-to ride, and it was Luther Vandross, it was Shirley Murdoch. It was in August. It was right before we were leaving to go to college for our freshman year. So it was our last shindig for the summer. And if y'all remember, Luther Vandross used to put on the most phenomenal, fabulous, elegant concerts ever. And we had great seats. Oh, we were right there at the stage, and he had one of those circular stages, and it rotated, and it was just everything. And I just remember when it was intermission. And back then, they used to have intermission at concerts. They don't have intermissions right now. Listen, you get up, you go, and you get your food, you go to the restroom, whatever you have to do, but the concert's still going to go on. But back then, they would have intermission. And I guess they do, but well, no, I'm trying to think the last concerts that I went to, they didn't have intermission. It was kind of like the next act would just introduce the next act, and it would just keep going. But back then it would be a straight up lights up intermission. And I said to my friends, listen, we on a mission. We have to find a ride back home. So we always know somebody. So we all have to keep your head on a swivel, keep your eye out. We have to find a ride. So we were always part of like high school organizations and associations and groups and things like that. And so when intermission came, we went up into the main lobby area or whatever. We were walking around, and I'm talking about it was thousands of people there. It was no little place. This is where the Nets used to play. Now the Nets are in Brooklyn. But we were walking around, and we saw this guy that we knew from one of the clubs that we belonged to. And so when we went to him, I said, how'd you get here? And he said, oh, my mom, she brought us. And he was there with like two other friends, or two or three friends. And I was like, you think your mother could give us a ride too? We don't have a way back home. He didn't even live in our town or anything. He didn't go to our high school. He just was in this one club with us. I never met his mother. His mother didn't know me or us. And so we he said, yeah. He said, sure. And after I asked him where he was sitting. And so when we went back to our seats, I looked to see exactly where he was sitting, because he told us where he was. And I looked around, because again, we had really good seats. So I looked up, and we saw where he was at. And I was like, all right, y'all, at all times, one of us has to keep our eye on him. And it was three of us, and it was two or three of them. And so we all, like took turns from the concert, making sure they wasn't trying to dip out, because that was our ride. This is before cell phones. This is in the 1900s. And so after the concert, we didn't lose sight at first, but at some point, leaving our seats and getting out, we kind of lost sight a little bit from him. And so we went outside, and we was looking around the parking lot like, oh shoot, where did they go? Because we knew he had to wait for his mother too. So they should be kind of standing stationary somewhere. And we finally saw them, and we was like, oh my goodness, like, okay, good. Now again, this is before cell phones. So his mother dropped him and his friends off. She was expecting to pick up him and his friends. It's not like he could text her and say, yo, mom, I have these three other girls from, I think we were in Xenos together, or we were in this Black business professionals youth group. And, it's not like he could say that, I have these girls from my youth group, or, is it okay, as a question, is it okay if they come? It was just like, look, we here. You said we could get a ride, so we waiting too. And when his mother pulls up, and she was expecting to just see him and his friends, the same people that that she dropped off. And we were all dressed up, because back then, if you went to a Luther Vandross concert, oh no, you weren't wearing sneakers, you weren't wearing jeans. We had on dresses and shoes, dressed up. Again, this is the 1900s. It was in the 1980s, 87 to be exact, August of 1987. Y'all, his mother was like, what? Where are their people? He was like, "Mom, I know. Like, please, can you just give him a ride?" She was like, "Where they live?" He said, "They live in Teaneck." And again, back then, concerts would be over late, so it might have been like 11:30 or something. And she was like, "We're not going to Teaneck." And he was like, "But mom, like for real, like can you just, please take them home? Because I'm on the New Jersey Turnpike. The Meadowlands are on the new, is no sidewalks. It's the major highway. I'm talking tolls. If y'all know anything about any kind of turnpike, it is the New Jersey Turnpike. We can't walk. We can't even be now. Me and my friends, we'll walk. We no strangers to walking, but can you just get us to the road? Not the highway. So y'all, that's what she did. She took us literally to the outskirts of Teaneck, like right off the highway, right off of the New Jersey Turnpike, exit 18W. And she pulled over and was like, "All right, like this is as far as I'm taking y'all because I gotta keep going." And we were like, "All right," we were thankful. And we got out. It was a balmy August night. It was about 11:30 at this time. And when I tell you, I know I was at least about 3 miles away from home. By the time I got home, my shoes were off. Oh, they've been off. But y'all, all I know is that was one of the best concerts we ever been to. But we had the confidence to just go. And that's the thing. And that's like what Slasher Chick was saying. You got that shot, take it. We had that opportunity to go to Luther Vandross and had great tickets. Yeah, no, we didn't have a ride, but go, do it, experience it. Absolutely. I loved it. I loved it. And so Vern is saying, I would say, oh, it's hard for me to see. I probably should have my glasses on. I would say make sure you love on yourself. Yes, definitely love on yourself. Know that you are so valuable. Take care of yourself. Your body is your temple. I've always told my children that. Do not use up your body. Don't use it up. Mm-mm. I know, Slasher Chick, isn't that wild? And she's saying, I would tell myself, your stomach is probably right. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Is that part of okay? So that's probably kind of like part of self-care. I tell my daughters all the time, listen, you need to work out every day. I'm the after picture. Okay. It's easier if you keep it up. All right. I see Slasher Chickens in the building. Let me pull her up. Oh,
Oh
wait.
snap! I'm in
Okay.
here. Hold on. How do I make this work? Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I can't hear you. I bet you everybody else can. Can they
Um,
hear you? I'm gonna put my I'm gonna have to put my,
oh, it does. So it
this is
plays.
what I this is
It's playing back for me because I'm
this
trying to
was
like
my
make sure I get
problem
the
when I
sound
went
right.
to wait when I had my live and I had Vashti on, I couldn't hear, so we had a challenge. Let me see. I am going to because I want to hear you. Okay, let
All
me
right,
see.
this is my first time doing this, so I didn't
Oh
realize how
no, how
the
can I not?
delay
I
works.
don't want to disrupt it. Hold on. Okay, let me see. Okay,
Okay. Can you hear
try
me
and
now?
talk.
Did that work?
Oh, it's going to be a delay. I can hear you from my other device.
I
All
think the
right,
thing I've learned
listen. We're
is
gonna make this work.
you need headsets. But I'll say this quickly and then I'll pop down. I don't know which category this is in. It might
Go
be in
ahead.
here.
It's a delay for me.
Um, and then I can hear myself, which is interesting. But Luther Vandross. And then I can hear myself, which is interesting. But Luther Vandross. Okay, now I've had to wait for the delay. I had plenty of opportunities to see Luther Vandross. I would get gifted Luther Vandross tickets all the time, and I kept making up excuses of why I wouldn't go. And then he had a stroke and was no longer able to perform. And then he passed away. And ever since then, I was like, I will never waste a concert ticket again. So, because you don't know when you'll get that opportunity again. And so it's like a just wasted opportunities to create new memories. Don't let those happen. So I have this thing about unused concert tickets ever since then. And if like something comes up and I can't go anymore, I make sure to gift the concert ticket to someone else because someone gonna experience this, even if I can't. So that would be my advice to your younger self: is don't waste a concert ticket. There's nothing worse than such a thing. I'm gonna pop down because I don't know how this delay works, Coach Cherry, but I love it.
Yes, do not waste that concert ticket. Absolutely. Let me put, yes, don't waste that concert ticket. Go. When you get that chance, go. There's going to be so many chances to travel, to go to concerts, to visit people in other cities. Someone may say, you know what, I have this extra ticket to go to Jamaica. Go. I remember, and I mentioned this before, when I had my first pregnancy and I had a miscarriage, and I went and I called it lived. I lived in the Bahamas. I was there for over a month. And my husband was kind of back and forth, but I had a dear friend, and I was like, you can come anytime, because when my husband's not here, you could just come. And she would. Oh my goodness. And that was so dope that she took that chance. She was like, all right, I'm like, just get here. I have a whole suite, just come on. And she did that. And so with your younger self, don't hesitate. Don't think too hard. And I have one of my daughters is definitely sometimes, I won't say she's analysis paralysis, but she definitely thinks things through almost too much. And I'm telling her, sometimes you just got to go. You can't plan every single moment out. And that's what I share. And so, yes, in that flat stomach, young people, their metabolism hits different. And so they think they can do that forever. They don't believe it. When I was younger, no one in my circle, no aunts, no my mother, no one ever said, Cherry, all that dessert you like, we know sweetness is your weakness. Siri thinks I'm talking to Siri. I'm not talking to you, Siri. But they wouldn't say, Sherry, all those desserts, one day they're gonna catch up to you if you don't work out. Because I used to work out a lot. I used to rollerblade. I used to do a lot of things as an adult. And then I want to say maybe after my third child, I stopped working out as much. And it hit different when you don't work out with consistency. And I love that my young adults currently, they do work out. That's part of their lifestyle. It's not even a chore, or they don't even talk about it. That is not part of who you are when you have to make an announcement that you're going to the gym. I'm going to work out now. Or you tell your friends. No, that's just part of what they do, and they just put it in, and then they do whatever after or before, but that's just what they do. And I'm telling them, keep that up. Don't let that change, for sure. And yes, and I heard you when you said that. Yes. 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 I know, we were lucky that we were ladies, and we were lucky that we were good ladies, young ladies, and that's another thing, to protect your brand, because you just never know who is watching. And that's something that I tell my young people all the time when it comes to, self-acceptance and confidence. You don't want to be cocky. You want people to want to tolerate you. You want people to want to be around you and to remember you in a positive way. Y'all, I had started a short yesterday. I don't know if y'all caught it, but I was talking about when I was in Dunkin' Donuts, in line at Dunkin' Donuts, getting coffee yesterday morning. Was it yesterday? Hmm. I think it was yesterday morning. Oh, No, I think it was the day before. I can't look. It's Wednesday. It may have been Monday. All right. So listen, I was at Dunkin' Donuts. It was in the morning. I'm getting my coffee. I'm online. I'm in my car. I'm in my vehicle. I place my order. I move up. I roll my window up. I'm playing my music, Men of Standards, Latter Rain. I'm singing, boom, boom. And there's cars in front of me and there's cars behind me. And at some point, in my peripheral vision, my side view mirror, I kind of see the person behind me leaning out of their window, trying to get my attention. And it was a Black man. And I was just like, no, thank you. That's a no. That'll be a no. No, taken, married, like I'm good. And then he went like this, LU. And I'm thinking, is he saying Lincoln? And I wrote, and I have my glasses on. I'm looking like my mother, not even looking like Sherry from back in the day, definitely looking like my mother. And I rolled the window down and I look back. I stick my head out and I look back. And he said, "Did you go to Lincoln?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you Sherry? Da, da, da." He said my maiden name. I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm Brian." I'm looking at him. He's like, "Brian," and he says his last name. I'm looking at him, and he's like, "The Kappa. I'm Brian, the Kappa." Blah. And I was like, "What? Like, how are you?" And listen, y'all, I haven't seen him in over 33 years. I graduated college 33 years ago. I have not seen him since. I remember him, but then I don't at the same time. And you know how it is on Facebook, especially, you become friends with everyone you went to school with, high school, college, grew up with, people you know now, whatever. So I looked and he is my Facebook friend. And that's how I was like, okay, that was that guy. And he told me, he said, "I just moved here from Vegas. I'm about to retire. And, I work virtually and we bought a house, this, that, and the other." And I'm looking like, how did you know it was me? Like, how did you see me? And he said it was your whole face got like was in your side view mirror. And he said, "No way, that can't be Sherry." And he took a chance. But imagine if, like, back in the day, my younger self was not a good person or was wayward, or I wasn't embarrassed to see him. I didn't feel like ashamed or anything like that. And that's why you have to live your life, because you just don't know who's watching. And apparently, even when you're online picking up fast food or whatever, you just never know who's watching, even to this moment. So for y'all, I hope this was a tip for you to always be on your grind. Listen, don't leave your house with the rollers in. You just never know. And you were saying, oh, you can hear her? Okay. Yeah, Olivia. I don't understand why I'm not able to hear people. I need to figure that out. I really do. And so Slasher is saying, I used to have analysis paralysis. That's why all of my advice is just to do it. Yes, just do it. Just do it for sure. And I think if y'all had been three boys with her son, y'all might have been walking further, probably. And I'm thinking now, like, I would have definitely have taken the girls all the way home, but I do appreciate her for dropping us on the outskirts of our town. I was able to handle that. Yeah, y'all have to really be on point at all times. And it's making me wonder who else sees me when I'm driving. Or listen, from tomorrow, when y'all are out, when you're driving, look and see if you can see someone's face in their side view mirror. I, I can't imagine. So I can't. I could barely recognize people I saw yesterday, much less 33 years ago. And I really feel like I looked so different. And I had glasses on. You know how different you look with glasses versus not? So I thought that was interesting. I really did. All right. Also, the only opinion about yourself is your own opinion. Letting them know, don't put a lot of stock into what people say or what they think of you. You definitely want to have and I know that probably sounds a little bit like a contradiction, where you should concern yourself with how your brand is represented, for sure, but you can't allow people to bring you down. So many people put so much stock into what people say about them, and they just really beat themselves up. If someone says, "Oh, you're too this or you're too that," and it really gets to them, but you have to know who you are first and foremost. And that's what self-acceptance is all about. It's about having self-awareness and being able to own who you are without the interruptions that was an interruption of other people. Because sometimes people, when they see you on a fast pace, on a trajectory that they don't see for themselves, they'll try to slow you down and pull you back and stunt your growth and say, "Oh, no, that's not for you. You're not good enough to do that. Why would you're going to go on stage? Please, you're not good." And I promise you, I wouldn't think a lot of things I did, I wouldn't think about it till after it was done. So I always kind of wanted to be a rapper, low key, high key. I wanted to be a rapper. I felt like I could absolutely be Salt and Pepper. Absolutely, hands down. What? And so I think it was like 10th grade, the summer before 10th grade, and my basketball team, we went to a basketball camp in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, and there was a talent show. And so we did breakdancing and rapping, and we won. None of the other teams looked like us. Let's put it that way. And so we won. And we thought we were all that. So when the next school year started, we thought we were real rappers and breakdancers. And so there was a talent show, a talent show. And we were like, well, we killed it at basketball camp. We could probably do it again. So it was 3 of us that were rappers and 3 that were breakdancers. And I'm talking breakdance. I'm talking the worm, the spin on the back, all that. Standing, I mean, we would this. So we didn't even have a name. But we practiced. We did. We practiced. We did. But not enough. Obviously, not enough. Mm-mm. And there was a guy named Frank Brown who is like the best friend to Tracy Morgan. And I say that with confidence because they grew up together, but then Frank at some point moved to Teaneck, and Frank was always known to be a good DJ. He's about 2 years older than me. He did go to Lincoln as well. And Tracy Morgan, before he was the Tracy Morgan we know, used to come and perform comedy stand-up on campus. We had this room in this basement of a dorm, and it was a room that they converted into a nightclub, and it was called Lions Den because Lincoln is the Lions. That's our mascot. And so they called it the Lions Den. And it was just imagine a basement. It had low ceilings. It had that vibe of a nightclub, like a juke joint type of nightclub, but like a smoky. If we were able to smoke cigarettes back then indoors or whatever, it would have been smoky. That's what it gave. They served mocktails and they had cocktail tables, and you had to, they had a number of people that could, everyone couldn't go. You had to have reservations, I think, maybe. But I just know everyone couldn't go. And periodically we would have amateurs come and perform. We would have jazz groups perform. Sometimes our jazz band would perform. And when Tracy Morgan would come, sometimes he would perform. And it was cool. It was free to get in because, it was just on campus or whatever. And that's how it was. And then he would come sometimes when Frank would do with DJ parties. He DJ'd a lot of parties, and he would help bring in his speakers and such. It was cool. But at any rate, Frank did our music. And I remember, I don't know what I told my mother, but I definitely didn't tell her that I was at my friend's house practicing being a rapper for the talent show. I didn't tell her, and I did not tell her. It wasn't like I couldn't do it. I just didn't tell her. And I definitely didn't tell her that I was at some guy's house in his bedroom where his equipment was with my other friend so that he could mix our music. But you know what? Mothers have serious radar. And I just remember we were in there and he was doing the music, and my friend looked out the window and was like, "I think that's your mother." And And I looked, and my mother was driving by real slow, trying to see if she would see me. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to be in trouble. And I remember running out because, I was the type of person, and this is what I would also continuously tell my younger self. It's what I tell my young people: confront it before it confronts you. So I remember running out, and I was like, Mom, like, what you doing? And she was like, Girl, what you doing in there? Whose house is that? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm practicing, we're practicing for what? And so it was just this whole thing. My mother didn't yell at me like that, but that's how I feel like she should have yelled at me. But she was like, What are you doing? Because my mother was a very calm mother. I needed her to be like, what? But she wasn't like that with me. But at any rate, she told me to come on. So I had to go, and practice was over for me from then on out. And so when it was time for us to go on, the whole entire auditorium was filled. It was jam packed. And when it was time for us to go on stage, I remember the commentator or the announcer was like, What's your names? What's your names? And we were like, we didn't even name our group. We was like, what's our name? It's 6 of us. So he said, all right, here we go. The 6 of us. That's what our name was, the 6 of us. It was, y'all, it wasn't that good. We didn't do well at all. That was the last time I ever went on stage to rap, but I did it. I tried. I definitely tried. I tried. All right, I see. Let me see. I thought I took Nightbot out, y'all. Nightbot is still in the building. I'm gonna get him out. How do you get him out? Can somebody, if you are Slasher Chick, can you take Nightbot out? time Nightbot out if you can. I thought I took him out. I see brother of a certain age is in the building and saying that I had something that happened to me a year ago at the gym where someone recognized me from Instagram. See? And especially if you are on social media, it doesn't have to be in your car. It could be out and about. You don't know who's watching your videos. You could be on vacation. You could be, in a whole nother country, and someone absolutely can recognize you. So I hope you was getting it in. I hope you was doing your best when you were at the gym. Also, a lot of times people put their own limited beliefs on you. They do. They do. A lot of times when people tell you what you can't do, it's because they can't do it. They don't have the courage to do it. They don't have the skills to do it. They don't have the talent to do it. That's why you really should not listen when people tell you what you should not do. No matter how out of this world things that my kids say they want to do, I'm like, what you need me to do? Like, how can I support that? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? Because that's exactly how my parents were. No matter what type of business idea I had, no matter what, um, troubleshooting thing I was going to talk to them about, or new adventure I was going into, they was all for it. They were all for it. And I appreciate them that much more for being those types of parents. And I know not everyone is like that. So I never took that for granted. And that's why, as a mother myself, that's how I am towards my children. And Olivia Love is saying, I can see that. You can see me being a rapper. It's a little late. It's a little late. That part of me is long gone. I can't do it. But I'm gonna tell you. No, I'm not gonna tell you on here. Yeah. I see DC, the Purple Diva, is in the building saying hello from the West Side. And I'm glad that you are here. Hey, Soror. Yes, I'm happy to see you here. It was interesting. I had a meeting today, and it was with this woman. She's in a whole nother city. A lot of cities contact us, me in particular, to want to know like how I do what I do. But at any rate, she reminded me so much of a Delta. And I said, Are you Delta? And she was like, No, but I want to be. And that's why I always did. And I'm just like, You said that. Okay. But it was cool. And I really enjoyed our conversation. So it was a good time. A good time. And Slasher Chick is saying, I love that handle, a brother of a certain age. Yeah, right. Isn't that a nice? That is a nice handle. You know, it's hard coming up with good YouTube names for sure. I think that's one thing that would be the first step. Excuse me, listen, because I just woke up, y'all. That would be the first step, is to, make sure that you have a name that's going to reflect who you are. And I feel like everyone here is definitely reflective, and everyone is speaking. And Slasher Chick is saying, as a woman of a certain age, you approve that message? Yes, I am a woman of a certain age for sure too. And DC, the Purple Diva, is saying that I'm 61 and I still look good. Yes. In your Whitney Houston voice. Sadly, we would be the same age if she was still here. Wow, Whitney would have been 61 years young. That is something. Yes, because my brothers are 62 and 63. And so she was just like a year younger than my youngest brother. Yes. And Slasher Chick, you are funny. Man, I wish I could have heard you when you were up here. And yes, I still miss her too. Whitney, that was that one. And it was interesting. I don't know if you looked at Wendy Williams back in the day, but not that long ago, really. But when she died, Wendy Williams was really toe up. Oh my goodness. And I could feel it because, they were the same age too. And it was just one of those things. It's like a train wreck that you see getting ready to happen and you don't want to see it. Like, please, somebody put the brakes on, oil the wheels, something. Don't let it squeak as it goes, because this is not going to end well. And it was very sad, very sad. And a brother of a certain age, you scratched that rapping itch. Yeah, I did. Man, I thought I was going to be so good. I thought my lyrics were everything. But there were so many people, and and I'm from North Jersey, so there's nothing but rappers up there. But I was like, oh yeah, this right here, this gonna get it, this gonna hit right. And at the time, my high school boyfriend, like, I didn't date him long, but he was my boyfriend at the time. I put his name in it. You know how you put your boyfriend or girlfriend's name, and somebody was like, he said, "Ooh." He started shifting down in his seat. Like, oh no. Because it was not good at all. Our outfits weren't hitting. We thought we were still at basketball camp. But when we came back, we was with the big leagues, and that's the thing. That's like, Das EFX, Andre from Das EFX. I know Das EFX, they got together in college. They went to Virginia State. But Andre from Das EFX is from Teaneck. He's a year younger than me. He went to my high school. That's the kind of rappers I was rolling with. And here I am thinking I could get on stage too. And we, because we were athletes, although, I like to be one of those kind of like fly athletes. I was that one that, wouldn't wear my basketball coat because it wasn't cute. But so we had on jeans and hoodies. But then there was this other girl rap group and they had on leather skirts and tops. And I'm looking like that's how we should have been coming out. What we got these sweatshirts on for? But it was too late. And that's what we had to go with. One of my cousins was friends with her. I met her once. Whitney Houston. Yeah, and also where I grew up, my brother's friends, and it was like they lived a block over from us. So in where I grew up, your family either owned a business or they taught school or they worked for like IBM or somewhere. I don't know. But a lot of people had their own business. So there was this other family owned business, and it was a car wash. It was a detailed car wash. And I'm trying to think, it was in Fort Lee, New Jersey, I believe. It was right across from the George Washington Bridge. And everyone used to go there. That's where Whitney Houston used to go to get her car done. Eddie Murphy, like a lot of famous people. And they were really cool because I grew up with them. They were my brother's friends. And then they had a brother that was my age also. And I remember when I got my little car in college, I got a Hyundai. Do you ever remember Hyundais when they first came out? So I got one going into my sophomore year of college. and I would take my car there. Everybody else have Benzes and BMWs, and remember what was that van? It was this van that they used to have with BBS rims and all that. And so, but I would take my little 2-door Hyundai up there, and they got me some mats, like as a congratulations or good luck with your new car gift. They got me these mats that had my name on it with a rose. It said Sherry, and it had a rose on it, and it was really nice. And I thought that was so nice of them. But it was a cool thing. Listen, when I used to drive my mother's car back in the day in the 1900s, I didn't use the air conditioner all the time because when you're young and you're kind of thin and willowy, you get cold real quick. So I wouldn't use the air. So when my father took me to get my car, you back then air conditioning was an option. And so I remember they were like, "Do you want air conditioning?" And I was like, I do not want air conditioning. I don't like air conditioning. I'm not going to use air conditioning. And that was so dumb because I would end up places, my hair would be all over the place because I would have the windows down, the sunroof. Because I was thinking, I have a sunroof. I'll be straight. I don't need the air conditioning. What? When the sun is right here, you need the air conditioning. You don't need that sunroof open, none of that. And so that's when I knew. I was like, I don't care. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, that was that. But I also remember, my mother had a Chrysler New Yorker, and you could turn that thing with one finger. It was real easy to drive. And I didn't realize because, my father's getting me a car, and look, beggars can't be choosers. So I was very grateful for it. And I remember when I was driving off of the parking lot, you almost ran into all the cars. Almost ran into all of the cars because it didn't have power steering. Remember back in the 1900s when they wouldn't have power steering? It wasn't, you just didn't have certain cars that didn't have it. They said, listen, you only paying $8,000 brand new. What you want? So I'm turning, thinking I'm in my mother's car, with my two, I'm chilling. And this is right in the parking lot of the car dealership. And I almost took out a whole row of cars. And I was, oh shoot, I got to use both arms, hands, everything to turn just to get out of the parking lot. I don't know what made me think about that. That's so crazy. I'm sorry. I digress. So this is what's up Wednesday. And our topic is, what would you tell your younger self? And we have several topics. And I'm sharing some things that I don't even know why. It's okay. It's okay. So also, a brother of a certain age is saying, embracing the grays, the wrinkles, the love for life, and the arthritic knees from sports. What? Ooh-wee. The arthritic knees, shoulders, heck, hips sometimes. It's a lot. It's a lot. And sometimes it's not even from sports. It's just because. Just keep moving. Yes, just keep moving. If you stop, all that stuff will just atrophy. It really would. I'm trying to tell you. You spent your summers in Newark. Oh, you did? All right. So did you eat a lot of blue crab when you were there? We used to get the blue crabs from Newark and put that newspaper out and just go at it. I'm telling you, Slasher Chick, it was crazy. My father just shaking his head. And and that's the thing too. No matter how mad you get, I would tell my younger self, you'll get over it. You'll get over it. It'll, and you know what? As young people, they always think if it doesn't happen today, it'll never happen. And so when I went to go get my license, it was on my 17th birthday, right? And my father took me to go get it. I had my permit and I was going to get my license. I was driving, he let me drive to the place. We're online, and he looks in the glove compartment and he starts to look at paperwork, registration and stuff. And he was like, I don't even know why, but he got out of the car and went inside the DMV and did some things. And then he came back out. And when he came back out, he was standing outside of the car next to me. Like, I'm in the driver's side and he's standing on the outside of the driver's side window. So and my father talks about this to this day. My father is 86 years old and talks about this. So so the man that was supposed to come and give me my driving test, he came up, he had his clipboard and everything, and he said, "Okay, who's the driver that's taking the test? Who's the driver?" And so I was like, "I am." And he was like, "All right, well, where's the licensed driver?" And my father was like, "Oh, here I am." And my father ran around the car, got into the passenger seat. And the guy's just writing, he's writing on his clipboard or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh, he's just getting ready, to take me out so I can pass this real quick. Because I'm driving, I could drive. Like, no, I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. Just come on. Because after this, I'm taking my dad back to the store, dropping him off, and I'm going to school. I got the car all day. They already told me it's my 17th birthday. Like, this is going to be the best birthday gift ever. And so the man's writing, and then he stops and he gives me a piece of paper. I'm thinking, oh, I have to hold my own score sheet. He's letting me hold it. No, not at all. Nope. Y'all, that man was like, "You failed. You failed." He said, "You failed for moving a vehicle without a licensed driver." What? All I did was inch up in the line. And he said, "I failed the driving test for moving a vehicle without a licensed driver." And my dad was right out there in the front, like right there. So I had to go inside of the DMV and reschedule my driving test. And the next available one was 2 weeks later. This was my birthday. You have to be 17 in New Jersey to get your license. It was my 17th birthday. I remember I was so mad. I'm like, oh, they want to give out tickets and violations? Yeah, I'm going to show them. I drove home so fast. Like, there's no way I shouldn't have gotten stopped. My father didn't say a word. He never told me to slow down. He never told me to stop at the stop sign. He was just sitting there like, I felt like that 2 weeks was never going to happen. Like, that was the end of the world. So I would definitely tell my younger self, it's not the end of the world. You're going to get your license. Calm down. Calm down, all the way down. It's okay. Don't be mad. You were wrong. You were wrong. Who knew though? Who knew? I didn't. Who knew? So yes, that coming of age in the 1900s story. Yes. Because and I say the 1900s because my kids, especially my youngest, she asked me one day years ago, "Mom, how did it feel to grow up in the 1900s?" What? But then I thought about it. She's right. Yeah. But it sounded so odd, but it's definitely something that's true. How you fail before you start. I know. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't. What do you mean? I was moving the vehicle. I know. And so you would tell your younger self, finish college on the East Coast and move to California later so you would be debt free coming out. But I don't think I would have pledged undergrad if I had stayed at an HBCU. So maybe California was best. And that's the thing, as we think about what we would tell our younger self, um, some of the things that we ended up doing was probably for the best. And we can't go back. So we have to definitely live with it. But if we have people coming up the ranks and we can give them, advice, pieces of advice, then that's where, this comes in, where we are able to tell them, like, you might want to really think about this and share your experience, share that story of, what, I probably should have finished before I moved to California, because then when I get to California, I would have been set up better. I wouldn't have had to worry about, different things because I already would be credentialed and I could just start my career. Give them the reasons, especially this generation. They want to know the why. Well, why? You can't just tell them something and expect them to adhere to it. No, you really have to go into it. Yes, we grew up in the 20th century. That is wild. So I guess this is how people felt like in the early 1900s that really grew up in the 1800s. How was it growing up in the 1800s? I can only imagine the difference. But I feel like our difference, the innovation and things that are going on are so far beyond any other generation. We've had to learn so many things that the majority, well, not even at this point, not even the majority, but a good portion of the beginning of our life, we didn't have, like technology, like certain devices that we had on our phones, 2-way, 3-way call waiting. We didn't get that until, well, I know I didn't until teenage years. So yes, the 1900s. And I was in the last high school class of the 1900s. So that's a whole nother perspective. That's definitely a book waiting to be written. What was it like to be the last high school class in the 1900s? That's interesting. That would be very interesting. All right, so the next is about relationships and social connections. So I'm going to write that in on a banner. And that is, so I want you to think about it. What would you tell your younger self about relationships and social connections? That's a good one, I think. So one thing I would definitely say, and let me see. Let's see. You're saying, and they told us the world was going to implode the next year with Y2K. I know it. And it didn't. Look, we're here. I was bracing. I'm still bracing. Like, what's going on? And whenever they say the world is going to end, I think it's ending in the way we know it, but it's not like the end of it's gone. No one's here. I think it's the way that we've been doing business, the way that we've been living our life is what really ends. And that part of the world, that aspect of how our world used to be is no more. And I believe that. And so a brother of a certain age said, shoot, we had dial-up internet. Yeah. You couldn't use the house phone and be on the World Wide Web. You had to go and even sports stores. I remember going to a sporting goods store and get the AOL disc so that I can, if I got a new computer, to put it on the computer so I can have email. That was just very interesting. Going to the FedEx store, I think it was called the UPS store back then, or Kinko's. No, remember it was Kinko's, and seeing if they had the AOL disc so I can, get it. I wish I had my AOL account now because I had some emails that I would love to revisit. I had some really good emails from back in the day. And your favorite Dr. Seuss quote is, "Those who care don't matter, and those who matter don't care." I like that. I used to love Dr. Seuss. I think Dr. Seuss books were on point pretty much. So, yeah, a lot of things have changed with that. And so when we look at relationships and social connections, what would you tell your younger self about being in relationships? That I think that's an interesting one. And you would tell yourself that about social connections, that those who care don't matter and those who matter don't care. Yes. Yeah, I like that one. I do. Let me see. Yeah, I definitely would I agree with that quote for sure. I'm gonna put that up here so everyone can see that. I'm going to take the link down. Let me see if it's still up here. I can't see where it is. I can't see where it is. Slasher Chick, if you don't mind, if you see the link that I have to come up, if you could take it down for a little bit, because there's some crazy people out here for real. It's crazy. All right. Let me see. Yeah, remember that noise? It would be like it was a weird dial-up sound too. We have come a long way, and that's why there is someone, I can't remember where it was, and they were having really bad internet connection in their home. And I'm like, still? Listen, internet, first of all, it should be free, low key. But it's amazing when certain areas and certain phones still don't get good service because we've come so far from where we were with dial up, for sure. I had my AOL forever. And so now I think Yahoo is like the AOL. You know, Yahoo's about to sizzle out a little bit. I'm always surprised when I see something other than Gmail. A lot of people have the, what's it called, the cloud maybe. And I guess that's still good because the cloud is part of Outlook and, things like that. I use three screens, when I'm in my day to day. Right now, I'm on two, but I do use three screens. See, yeah, you've got mail. They even had that in a movie. Yes. Let's see. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll try it in a little bit. Yes, you've got mail. You were able to change your voice on there, DC the Purple Diva. I wasn't able to change that. That's interesting. Mine was a female voice. Yes, I'm always surprised. And someone had asked, I had did a resume writing workshop, and someone had asked, does it matter what type of email address you use for your applications and for your resume? It really doesn't, as long as the name is not something crazy. Like, you don't want to have a email address talking about your former life. You want to have something that's more professional. So even if that means getting a Gmail. So many people act like emails are, you have to pay for them, but you don't. So you can absolutely have one that you use when you are applying for jobs. You can have one that you use for your business, one for personal, but definitely make sure that the name isn't something that you don't want to have representing you in a professional environment. Now, the hook, whether it's a Yahoo or Outlook or Gmail or something like that, it doesn't really matter. However, Gmail is most popular. I would say don't use your work email on your resume because I don't understand why people do that. But a lot of people, you believe it or not, that have worked for the same company for 20 plus years, oftentimes their work email is that's just their go-to email. That's the one that they're most familiar with. That's the one that they use most often. So they put it even on their resume. I'm like, no, this has to go. You have to take that off. Also, you want to, yeah, you want to definitely have that, but don't worry about if you have Yahoo or Gmail or anything like that. But I do recommend Gmail. And also your school. I would say, when you go to college, they give you email addresses. Don't use that on your resume either. Have a separate email because, you know, you just no, just don't do that. Just don't do that. Yes. Yahoo's not bad, but it's getting kind of old. I didn't know you can change the voice. I'd love to have a Lenny Kravitz. Me too. I would have loved that. Yes. And let's see. DC the Purple Diva is saying yes. It had that feature. I can't even imagine. I would have loved to have had that. One of the reasons why I wish I could get my AOL, well, two reasons. So prior to getting email, and I lived in New Orleans, and my cousin, one of my favorite cousins, lived in still does, lives in New York, and we were pregnant around the same time. I had my son a little bit before she had hers, and that was her second child. And we would just write each other all the time. But before email came out, we would fax our letters to each other. Because remember, we didn't have text message or anything like that. And no social media platforms. We didn't have Facebook. This is 1998. And so we used to fax each other. I had a fax machine in my office, and I don't know where her fax machine was. I guess at work. I don't know. But we would just write, and fax long letters, and we would read them and respond via fax. We wouldn't even call each other. We would just fax each other. And then one day she introduced email to me, and I was like, no, I can't even, I don't understand what you're saying. How is it that I'm going to type this in? Because I was already typing, but I was printing it out to fax it. I couldn't understand the concept of me typing it and her receiving it without it being printed. You know, like, how is that? She's like, no, trust me, it's a new thing. You go and you get this AOL and you put it into your computer, and then, you know, we can just type back and forth like that. We won't have to worry about the fax anymore, because we were both using up so much paper. Oh my goodness. And so finally I decided to try it, and I couldn't get enough of it. And then the funny thing is, when Facebook started and I told her about Facebook, like, oh my goodness, you know, you go on Facebook and then you can see pictures of things that are going on in my life, and then I can see your life, and you know, we can stay connected that way. We can keep up with each other. She was like, Facebook, what is that? I don't want to do that. I don't want to put my pictures up there. Now she's like the Facebook guru. I mean, all her Facebook posts, she definitely could print them and make them into a book. Like, that's how detailed they are. She writes wonderful posts on her commute on the train, on the metro, or the MTA, yeah, the metro, I guess, in New York, going from where she lives across the Hudson. And she takes pictures, beautiful pictures of the Hudson River, and just just her, just being in tune to the environment. So that's really cool. And yeah, I don't use mines either for anything other than that. I mean, a lot of companies can definitely look through your previous emails and see that, what, this has nothing to do with what you were supposed to be doing. And I don't know, I just don't like that kind of access. Let's see. Thank you all for being here. Oh my goodness. Y'all are giving me so much life. I'm gonna probably be up all night now. You know how it is. It's like when you go to a party and you have so much energy until it just keeps you up. And so Slasher is saying, it's also good advice for young people. Your work email and devices are not yours, not at all. So definitely that's great advice, because some of them I don't think they realize that. Oh my goodness, some of the things they do, some of the things they search during the workday, no, don't do that. I know why Waze app has efficient voices, but I use my email for basic stuff. Okay. And and I don't really, outside of like business or work, I don't really use my email for personal things. I don't email people like I used to say hello, because now we have text messages, and or if I use my personal email for personal things, I don't really use it on my computer. I use it from my phone. So it's interesting how things evolve and become more efficient. Yes, fax letters. I don't know. So for me, I was faxing from my home office. So I was the only one that was going to pick that up. My husband didn't come into my home office. For her, I asked her, where did I fax my stuff to? Because it was some stuff in there. Like, where was that going? That's a good question. That's a good point. And how did we tell each other we were about to fax? Like, did we tell each other? And it had to be via phone, because there was no mobile or texting or anything. So why couldn't we just talk? I think back then it's because, well, I don't know why we didn't just talk on the phone. I think also, sometimes when you're in a relationship, you don't want to spend a lot of time communicating with a lot of other people. And that might have been our thing. At that point, I was married for about 3 years, and she was too. She was married maybe about 5 years. Yeah, she was married for about, and maybe we just wanted to spend that time with our spouses, and it didn't seem like we were just talking all the time. I don't know, but that's a good. I'm gonna talk to her about that. Why did we do that all day? Yeah, your first PC came with the encyclopedia and a virtual world map. You were blown away, like it was a good thing. Yeah, I remember that. I remember my first laptop. I was like, what? I don't have to just be at a desk. I can take this with me places. And I needed that laptop. I remember because the business that I had at that time, I did a lot on I have no I have to remember. I did so much on the computer with that business. And especially during the off season, we would always be different places. And I couldn't take my whole desktop with me every time we went somewhere. So that laptop gave me so much freedom. But that laptop was so heavy. It was so thick. It was so thick. Oh my goodness. Remember how thick they used to be? And this is something that I always say too with my young adults. When you're dating someone, 4 seasons gives you a great snapshot of who they are. 1 full year. Is it someone that you feel like you're going to be involved with for the long haul or not? And if not, you need to pivot. This may or may not be the advice that some of you would want to take, but if you're just dating, you need to always keep your head on a swivel and don't be closed-minded to new people that may come into your life, because you never know if that person is the right one until you make that real commitment. And a real commitment is just not saying this is my boyfriend. Mm-mm. No, as you continue to grow and evolve, you're going to meet new people. Be open to that. Don't be so closed-minded. Don't be wifed up. Some people they call them wifey and all that. No, don't be like that. I know for my children when they were younger, especially in high school, oh, 6 months, that's the max. You gotta move on to the next. Because this is getting too serious, and it's not that serious, because you'll start closing yourself up and not experience a lot of different types of people that may be even better for you. You'll know when it's the right one, because that's all you want to think about. That's all you want to be with. That's how I knew that my husband was the right one, because no matter what I did, where I went, I enjoyed him the most. I liked and loved. And that's the thing. You can have both. Some people will be like, I love flew out the window a long time ago. I'm not even checking for it anymore. You absolutely can have it. And especially when you like is important. So some people just have the love, and that love can be fleeting, because what if something happens to it and now you don't like that person? You don't really respect them. So you have to have like, so that if something happens to love, you got it. If something happens to like, you got it. So be mindful of that. Let's see. A brother of a certain age, and it comes with a DVD of Saving Private Ryan. It was the Home Shopping Network. I remember that. I think the Home Shopping Network is still a thing. I do. Yeah, it is. Oh my goodness. Her YouTube, I mean her Facebook post, I really wish she would get a YouTube channel. So many people are so shy to be on YouTube, but they'll be on Facebook, they'll be on Instagram and places like that, but they feel so I wish I could understand that, why people feel so shy to be on YouTube. I'm not understanding that at all, but she writes beautiful, beautiful passages, and the pictures that accompany them are just remarkable. And she does a lot of walking, like in the mountains and around her area, just nature walks. Her mother was the one, my aunt that passed away. And she would bring her mother with her, and she have pictures of her and her mom, and just really, she's dope. She's one of the dopest people I know. Your Siri is a female with a British accent. It calls you Purple Diva. I love it. I never changed my Siri's voice. I need to look into all of that. Did you tell your Siri to just call you Purple Diva, or what? How does she know or he know that to do that? A free DVD. Remember the DVD players? Oh my goodness, everything is so outdated. London Price, welcome into the building. Just keep going. Yes, she knows what's up. Thank you all for speaking and for being in here. Let's see. The DC, the Purple Diva saying, I changed that immediately so that AI doesn't dox me if I'm on YouTube. Yeah, listen, Soror. So we were on here. I think I must have been in, was I in Slasher Chick? No, Slasher Chick was in my live. And she mentioned, she wrote out a person, a content creator. She was like, Coach Sherry, I think you should check this content creator out. I think you would enjoy their content. I was like, oh yeah, I will. And I wrote it pen to paper. I just wrote it out. When I got off that live and I just went to my YouTube page, that person's videos was all over it. And I was like, wait, did I search for them? And it's crazy how AI is everywhere. Yes, the laptop was huge. And it had like some type of the battery pack for it. Who knows where the battery pack is now for laptops? But them other ones, you can remove the battery pack, replace it. It was hardware for sure. And you had an IBM ThinkPad. Oh, I remember those. Yes. Okay, and you were a math major and a computer science minor. So, as a computer science minor, was that the best option? Because I'm thinking HP. I remember, well, when I was in college in the 1900s, I had what was it called? A brother typewriter, and it had this little. It was like this big screen, and it was that black and gray lettering, and I thought it was the cat's meow, because you type on there, and then if it was all good, you just hit and it would go onto the paper. So it was different, a little different than a regular typewriter. And that was like the first type of computer. And so then as computers came about and everything, HP was it. But I know when my children went to college, it was about the Apple, the Apple computer was what they, their computer of choice. Most college students now, I think that's what they prefer. I see my brother, y'all. This is my oldest brother. Will is in the house. So his name is Sheldon, right? But from when I was in like high school, I I made I made up his name. I called him Wilberforce. Don't ask me why. I just started calling him Wilberforce. And then I would shorten it and call him Wilbur. And then I shortened it to Will. Willie and then Will. And everybody, when I was away at school or when I was grown and lived someplace else, and if I said, can I speak to Willie? They knew I was talking about him. I'm the only one that calls him that. It's so good to see you in the building. Yes. Oh, yeah. A free computer is the best computer ever, right? A free computer works the best. It is the best. I love it. Yes, that's what I mean. When I said Apple, I meant the Mac. So a lot of college students, that's their preference, is the Mac. Thank you for welcoming him, Slasher Chick. That's my brother. Thank you. He is listen, oh my goodness, y'all. Oh, if he could be on here, he would be the best co-host ever. Ever. Oh, I wish he could. Oh, he would be the best. So when we lived in New Orleans, and I had it was a virtual business in 1996 and 1997, 98. From 1996 to 1998, y'all. Now, mind you, it's the 1900s. I literally had a virtual business, and I had clients all over the world. I can't. I have to remember how I did that. But my business, it was structured in New Jersey, and so that brother, I have two brothers. That's my oldest. He was like the manager of it. So my post office was up there. The bank, my business account was up there, and so again, we didn't have a lot of the technology that we have now. So he would go to my post office. He would get the requests, the applications. It was really applications, the inquiries or whatever. And he would make note of all of them. He would make the deposits if people were paying for services, and he would make the deposits, and he would mail me the applications. We lived in New Orleans, and mailed it, and I would handle the business from there. And that was kind of like our little system. Every week he would send me stuff, and it would be like, it was crazy. My goodness. But it worked. And it was very successful. It was just that when I had my son, it was too much to handle. And I had young people working for me. They would come to our home, to my home office to, after school. It was a really good business for them to, a good way for them to learn a business. But yeah, it was pretty dope. Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. Oh, it's so good to see you. And so Slasher Chick is also saying, let me see. Also, good advice. A free computer is the best computer. Yes. So listen, you can want that Mac all you want to, but what somebody's giving you this HP, you better take that and be happy because that's the best one. That one works just as good for sure. And also, shoot, in '96, I was. What were you? What were you in '96? What were you in '96? So a brother of a certain age, my brother is around your age because he is 63. He's 63. So yeah, we in the building. We have grown-ups in the building. All right, but I'm hoping that young people are tuned in and will tune in as for the replay to listen. But what are some of your relationships? What would you tell your younger self in a relationship? There's not much I would tell mine because I had a good time, y'all. I did. And you know what? I really was able to connect with some great people, men and women, girlfriends, friends that, I could hang out with that I trusted, friends that I didn't feel like, ooh, I can't leave her with my man. I never had that type of distrust. I had great friends, girlfriends that, we weren't jealous of each other. We would always uphold each other. We were the ones that, girl, come here, you got something in your hair, I remember one of my dear friends, and she actually was a hairdresser. And because of my parents' business, we would be really busy during the holidays, but I still would hang out. And it was hard for me to get to the store, to buy outfits or even to buy gifts sometimes if it was during certain holidays. And so she would be like, girl, I got you. And she wouldn't even ask for money up front. She would just be like, what you want, what do you want to wear or whatever. And she would buy me my dress, my shoes. If I tell her, can you get my mother a gift or my father or somebody, she would get it. And I would pay her back. But it was just like, that's a friend. I don't know too many friends that would do that now. I thought that was really dope. So, she knew, okay, we're going to go out tonight, but you working and the stores are going to be closed by the time you're done. So I got you. And I would have a whole new outfit, feeling good, looking good. And we had similar tastes. We had a good time. We had a really good time as friends. And then, in terms of dating, always picked great people, had my standards outlined. I knew what I was looking for. I didn't settle for less. And that's what I would continuously tell my younger self. That's what I tell my young people. It's better to be solo than dolo, whatever dolo is. But it's better to be solo than just to have somebody, And when it comes to relationships, even when it comes to a career, some workshops that I do and some people that come, especially if they're in the community and they are coming to get skilled up or reskilled or something like that, because I'm also an adjunct and I do continuing education. And so they'll come into my class because they're trying to become gainfully employed. And so I'll ask, well, what do you want to do? And they'll be like, listen, I just want a job, any job. And I always say that's what you'll get, a job, any job. When you're looking for a career, for a business, you have to be very specific and intentional. It's just like a relationship. If you say you want a man, any man, that's what you'll get. You want a woman, any woman, just to have some, oh, you'll get that. And yeah, on site, they may look good, smell good, whatever. But then when you go deep, you'll realize, ooh, this not hitting right. This not this not what I thought it was. And you become disgruntled. And so just like in a personal relationship, your career, your business is the same thing. If you're not specific, if you don't know what it is that you want, what's a good fit for you, then you will get just anything. That's what God will grant you your wish. Here you go. You said you wanted it. There it is. And so many people, maybe it's their ego, they stick with it. And I'm going to say to my younger self, don't stick with it. If it's not a good fit, you must have quit. Is that? So if it's not a good fit, just quit. Because not a quit, but just quit. I guess a quit can go too, but just quit. Don't stick with it. Mm-mm. And you can tell right away. A lot of times, it's those things, it's those little things that you're like, ooh, that worked my nerve real bad right there. And they always do it. And it could be because your values are not aligned. It could be because you were raised different. And that's why, like, since my children were 3 years old, I've been praying for their spouse, their future spouse, because I knew they were born. They're either going to be 3 years younger or older or their age. And I want them to have a healthy relationship with themselves, with God, with their family. I want them to have good upbringing. I want them to respect themselves and others. I want them to be able to receive someone that treats them well and not take it for granted or advantage. You know, some people, if you're good to them, they will use you up. And I don't want my kids to be with anyone that's going to use their goodness up. You know, I want someone that's going to receive it, appreciate it, and reciprocate it. You know, I want them to also be able to give that. And don't put up with anything less. And so what? If you're single, be single, because don't just settle. Because you know what happens? Sometimes if you settle, that will become your standard. And then, you know, people that may look, you could be in your car, like, jamming to some music in a drive-through, and someone sees you in your side view mirror and they remember the type of people that you were with before, and they'll look at you the company that you keep. Oh, you like that type of dude? Oh, she's into that, or he's into that type of female. Then that's not the one for me. Because that's, you know, that's almost like I remember, you know, when I would break up with someone, because yeah, I was the one breaking up with them. I was. Um, I would always be like, you need to be mindful of who you date after me, because that's a to me, that was part of my standard. You know, it's like, oh, you went from Sherry to that. Oh, you know, no, please elevate yourself each time so that you know you just please do that. hmm Let me see. So let's see what else. I am just talking on and on. Okay, let me see. Where was I? About the computer. Okay, 63. I know you're not quite there yet. Okay, 51. All right. I know someone said that you know what who it was? It was Purple Diva. It was my soror that said she was 61, because Whitney Houston would be 61. All right. So you're young. All right, but I would tell my younger self, don't be afraid of rejection and the no's, and carve your own way without hurting people. Yes, don't step on anyone's back. To get ahead, you don't have to step on anyone's back. There's a clear path for you each step of the way. You don't have to step on anyone's back, hurt any feelings, disrespect anyone, definitely. And a rejection and a no is just a no for right now. It doesn't mean it's forever. So maybe it's an opportunity for you to get better so that you can continue to improve. Because a lot of people, no is a complete sentence. Oprah said that. It's no, period, but it doesn't mean that it's forever. Just like a yes is not forever. Yeses can change too now. So when you get that no, figure out why it was no. Understand that, you know, maybe I need to do some improvement. When you're in a relationship, if it doesn't go well, heck, I'm saying about the other person, but it could be you. You could be that one. So what are your values? You know, how are you showing up? Maybe you need to change and figure that out and work on yourself for sure. And you said that with you over here. And I see E status in the building too. Thank you for being here. And you're the exception coach. You're the 1 out of 4. Good night. Dropping the mic. Are you dropping the mic? No, listen, I think there's a lot of people out there that still have that same kind of posture. They have those same types of standards. You know, it's just finding them. How are you tonight? Are you at work? Or what you doing? You hanging out? What's going on? It's good to see you. So again, what would you tell your younger self with relationships and social connections? Also, do not burn bridges is something for relationships. Young people be so quick to jump off, oh, well, forget them. They out. I'm not messing with them. Listen, life is it can be so long. We have that dash. We have the beginning date and the end date in that dash. We are all living in that dash, and you don't know how long you're going to be here in that dash and what's going to happen in that dash. And I know for me, I'm so glad that, I carried myself with respect all the time. And even in college, knowing people, being friendly, being recognized in my side view mirror 33 years later. But just really having that personality that's not a one and done, or I don't look at them, never like that. And because of that, I went to college with my husband's best friend. I didn't know my husband when I was in college or anything, but when we graduated, his best friend introduced us. And so you want to have that, be that person that people don't mind introducing you to people because you just never know. Or, when it comes to business, and especially when you're in class with people, stay connected with them. You don't have to stay in constant contact with them, but have a level of network with them so that in the future, if you're in that circle, you can double back. That's like, there was an event, the Alphas were having their convention, their Southern Region convention here in Charlotte not too long ago. And we were invited to speak to someone about perhaps setting up and doing something at the event at the convention center. And I didn't, I wanted it to be pro bono, like, can we get, I don't want to say free, but can we get it for free? And I remember one of my line brothers, we pledged at the same time. He's an Alpha though, I'm a Delta, but we are Sands. We pledged at the same time, same school. And I said, do you know such and such? And he was like, yeah, I know brother, boom, boom, boom. Because he does something, he works on their national level, like for the fraternity. He's on a national level for them. And I said, yeah, I'm his Sands. Ask him if he remembers me, boom, boom. Now, mind you, this is 33 years ago. I pledged 35 years ago, but the last time I had seen him was 33 years ago. And he came back and was like, yeah, brother, such and such said he remembers you. Like, you good, you cool. And we were able to get what we wanted with no cost. And that's the network. And it's like, if I would have left the last time I saw that person with a sour taste in his mouth, like, she ain't nobody, she ain't nothing. He might have said, nah, her personality, she ain't that one, or her brand is like, people don't say that, but like, nah, she ain't worth a quarter. You don't want to give her the hookup. Nah, but being that it wasn't like that. So I would tell them, definitely protect their brand, their network. Don't just throw people to the wayside. Look at people, if you don't agree with them in 100%, look at them like, I don't have to live with you though. Like, you could be like that, but I don't have to live with you. That doesn't mean you throw them away. Just realize you don't have to be with them 24/7, and that's okay. So you can spend time, you can tolerate them for a little bit, but then you move on to the next. But don't argue, don't disrespect, because you just never know where they'll show back up in your life. Yeah, your 32-year anniversary is coming up. Happy anniversary on the 27th at the end of the month. You and my sister-in-law. So I was in their wedding, and I remember crying so hard. So this brother, my brother that's in here, he was like my brother slash sister slash mother, father, cousin, friend. He was that one. And when we talk about relationships and um social connections, especially relationships, because this brother is 9 years older than me. So when I started dating, I would ask him for advice, like from a male's perspective. So if you have people that are older than you of the opposite sex where they can give you their perspective, that is so helpful. And so you can see if many people don't utilize their circle to get that type of advice, dating advice and just what to look out for, and if he acts this way, what does that mean? And so it was easy for me to cut people off at the kneecaps, because my brother would be like, oh no, he's playing games. And I'll be like, oh no, you're playing games, it's a wrap. So that was really good. And your dad is a Morehouse man and an Alpha. He was also student body president during the 1960 college sit-ins. Oh, my daughter just graduated from Spelman, so she's a Spelmanite, and I'm a Spell mom. And Morehouse is a distinguished school, yes, and Alpha man from there. So he's down here with Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, yes, 32 years. So I've been married 29 years, and I just remember my brother's wedding like it was yesterday. It was I remember the dress and everything. My mother looked so beautiful at the wedding. Everybody, that's the thing about weddings, and especially when they have happened so many years ago. Looking back at the pictures and videos and such, just seeing how many people are no longer here, it's like, wow, you know, life goes on, y'all. Life goes on. So cherish those moments, those memories for sure. And let me see, one of my brothers went to Jamaica for his, I think Sheldon, if I'm not mistaken, you went to Hawaii for your honeymoon. And then my other brother went to Jamaica. Yes. Thank you for congratulating them for sure. Yes. So again, remember, in relationships, you want to like and love, not just love. You don't want to love them where, oh, you want to spit them out. No, you want to like them and enjoy them as a human being. Like they're a good person. Whoever you're with in a relationship, you want to look at them like you're a good person regardless of everything. You're a really good person. And I remember back in the day, people would always say, "Oh my goodness, like your husband is so good." So I'm like, he's like that all the time. Like that's who he is. Because some people put on a front, in front of other people, and then behind the closed doors, they're just hellions. But no, it's like, yeah, that's why those 4 seasons are important, to see how a person responds when it's cold, hot, and otherwise, for sure. All right, the next is education and career. And I know that let me see who said something about school. A brother of a certain age, I believe you were saying what you would have done different for school. So I'm going to put in the banner, on the banner, education and career. All right. So what would you tell your younger self about education and career? Now that's a big one. Like I said, just today, um someone was telling me, and he's in his 50s, how he has never been able to live out his life's dreams because of what his family told him when he was much younger, and how someone from his town, he grew up in a very small town, and how someone in his town lived out that dream, and who is basically like a famous actor now, and how he feels some kind of way when they could get around each other. And that could happen. What do they call it? A dream not imagined, or a dream not lived. I don't know. Don't get me started. But yeah, you want to be able to live out your dreams. And your dad is still working as a dermatologist at 85. That is so dope. I bet you you've seen so much change going on in his line of work. My father just turned 86, and he actually still does what he does. He does it on the side, just kind of like, yep, here you go. But I think that's important, no matter how old you are, to keep going, to if you have a passion, continue to do it. If you're great at what you do, it's not hurting anybody, you're not hurting yourself, do it. You don't have to always do it just for financial gain. I mean, if it comes with it, so be it. But you have to keep moving. I always say, when you stop, your whole body, your mind atrophies, everything, and then that's when things start to fall apart for real. Yes, a dream deferred. That's right. That's right. So that is it. So when you discourage young people from doing what is in them, know what their passion is, that could be very challenging. for them later on in life, because you don't want to live with regrets. And that's the thing with education and career. So yeah, with education, you can always go back, but there's some careers you just cannot go back and try. So some things are, like a young man's sport. You have to get it while the getting is good. So don't discourage them. Always let them know, have other things. I don't even call it plan A or plan B. I just always say have multiple streams, So while you're doing this, but also build this, and I'm not saying in case that one falls through, I'm just saying in addition to, don't look at it like, oh, if you're going to do that, have your plan B in place in case that doesn't work and you have something to fall back on. No, just have another stream of income. It's just a way that you have that conversation with them. Do something else that's going to also bring in some money. If it gets low over here, you got it high over there. So I think that would be definitely how you want to do it. Right? I would love to go to an 85-year-old dermatologist. Listen, I was thinking about dermatologists this morning because I remember when my son was first born. I literally was thinking about this morning when I was driving around. My son, when he was born, like shortly after, when he was a little baby, like under 3 months. And I remember he got like a little rash and I didn't know what that was. And listen, I'm about going to the professionals, to the experts, to the SMEs. No, I'm not taking you to the pediatrician. She's not a skin doctor. I'm taking you to the dermatologist. So I went to the dermatologist. I made an appointment. And I remember making the appointment, and the person who was taking the appointment was kind of like hesitant, like 1998. Like that sounds like real soon. Like that don't sound too long. Like, is this a baby? Yeah, it's a baby. My baby needs to see the dermatologist. My baby has a red rash on his face. I don't know. He needs a dermatologist. So she was like, all right. And, I came in, and basically sometimes babies, as they are growing, and it might've been something because I was nursing him exclusively, something I was eating. They didn't prescribe anything, long story short. It was nothing major, but I had him at that dermatologist. I wasn't playing because I'm like, the pediatrician don't know. She know babies. She don't know skin. I'm taking him to the dermatologist. Heck, if he was teething back then, I would have taken him to the dentist. I don't care. That would have been crazy. Education is important, but life experience without the what if is best. Yes. Yes. And okay, get your education, but don't think you're supposed to be at the top when you get it. You still need that experience. And that's what I'm feeling like you're saying, DC, the purple diva. It's like, you know, you have to have that life experience. It goes hand in hand. So don't just have your head buried in the books. You want to also, experience different things, get involved in different things as well. And your dad knew he wanted to be a doctor at 80 years. At 6 years old. Okay. And 80 years later, he still loves it. He was self-employed for 30 years in California and now back on the East Coast. He was my son's dermatologist. I love it. I love it. Wow. At 6 years old. And your father was from California. What part of California was he from? That is really good. Did he have a lot of like doctors? How did he get exposed to dermatology back then? I'm thinking, I know my father was born in 1938. So your father was probably born in 1939. So it was in the 1940s when he said, I want to be a dermatologist. And I'm sure there weren't that many dermatologists of color, if your dad is of color back then. So how did he, know that that's what he wanted to do? And, and that's also interesting. It's like, don't think in whatever your career is, don't think it has a look. My son, he turned 5 late. And so we wanted to make sure he was ready for kindergarten, and we had him tested at some kind of center. It was recommended, and they test his skills, his mental, cognitive, all those abilities to make sure he will be ready for kindergarten because he was going to still be 4 years old. And we took him, and the testers came out, and they were like, oh, he did great. There was only one thing that he got wrong. And we were like, what did he get wrong? And they said, Oh, he said that this was a doctor, but it's a nurse, and it was a black woman with a dress and a white lab coat on and a stethoscope around her neck. And they said, this is a nurse, and he said that was a doctor. And I said, in his world, it is a doctor. All his doctors are black, and they so happen to be women at that point, but all of his doctors are black. He doesn't know a black nurse. And they were like, oh, and so it's like, don't think that a career has a look, because you can absolutely be anything that you want to be, aside from certain things that take more athletic ability, but basically, especially if you put your mind to it, absolutely. So you said uh, your dad is from Detroit and grew up in New Orleans. Okay, that's so cool. I wonder how did they get to New Orleans from Detroit? Because I always try to figure out the demographics or the geography of things. I know that people that are from Louisiana, they'll move to, I believe, they'll move to Chicago, Texas, and California, and then people from North and South Carolina, well, North Carolina will move to New York, Virginia, Maryland, Jersey, or New York, Philly too, North Carolina, Philly as well, Philly and New Jersey and New York. South Carolina, the same. Like people move to different areas according to whatever region that they are from. And so you're saying your mom was from New Orleans, okay, and they moved to DC where you're from, and you were the one to move to California, okay, and everyone followed you. Okay, and yeah, all doctors have been black. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, that's cool. I love it. Yeah, New Orleans is a special place. That's where I had my first child, and it's a different country. If you've never been to New Orleans and you're thinking about, well, I want to go to on vacation, but I don't want to travel outside of the country right now. Go to New Orleans because that's a different country. The food, the smell, the taste of the air, the feel of everything is so different. The accents are different, but in a beautiful way. I love how cultural it is, culturally rich it is, and it's a beautiful place to be. All right. And what about would you, if you have your bachelor's degree and you went from high school to get your bachelor's, would you recommend to your younger self to get your master's while you're in your 20s, or that it's just not that important? I would say develop your skills in your career early and think long term. A lot of young people are just thinking for the short term, like, all right, I'm here, I got to get it now. But think long term. And I guess that's why they're saying, get your master's in your 20s, because once you get into your career, when you know what you're doing, it's harder to go back to school, because school really only teaches theory. It doesn't teach the practical. And if you know the practical like the back of your hand, it's gonna really frustrate you. It's going to be really challenging, I think. But definitely think long term when it comes to your career. And you've never been to New Orleans, a brother of a certain age, you need to go. So, and DC, the Purple Diva, if you still have family there, if you still visit, you may or may not agree, but these are the times that I think are just the best times. One is if you go during Thanksgiving, they have what's called the Bayou Classic, and that's when Grambling State and Southern University play, and they play at the Superdome. And when I tell you, that whole weekend is amazing. It's so much fun. It really is. And it's grown fun. It's not this like, oh, I gotta watch my back type of thing. It's so much fun. And then another time is during Essence Festival in July. I don't know. I think Essence may have changed a little bit, but I know it had been really, really good. It's a great place to go. It's just really, really hot in July. So being outdoors would be on a limited basis for me during that time of the year. But another great time is it's the last week in April, the last weekend in April, and the first weekend in May. And that's when they have the Jazz Festival, and they have this park and they open it up, and they have musicians and tents for all different types of music. It's not just jazz. They even had a gospel tent there. And the vendors, the food vendors that are there, they have to compete to be a vendor. So it's like the best of the best. Like my favorite food is the crawfish bread. Crawfish bread is so yummy. Oh my goodness. Do you see the Purple Diva? Have you ever had crawfish bread? It is so good. And the only place that I would find it was at the Jazz Festival. So those are the three best times of the year, I believe, to go there for sure. And you're saying that your grandmother was from Alexandria, Louisiana, and your grandfather was from Alabama, Mobile. Okay, Mobile, Alabama. And they were Afro-Cuban. Oh, so how they get there? That's interesting. Well, those are both coastal areas, so I guess. And I know in Mobile, Alabama, that's on the Emerald Coast, which Destin, Florida is on, and that's my favorite part. Like that's beautiful water over there. And I'm sure the climate probably reminded them of Cuba, whichever one came from Cuba. And you've gotten your master's back then now, and okay. And you still have some, but a lot moved to Texas after Katrina. Oh yeah, Katrina definitely displaced a lot of people in Louisiana to Texas, even to Atlanta, North Carolina, all over. They had to, move and get him back. And what I learned about Katrina, and it's so, I haven't been back to New Orleans since before Katrina. We were there a few months before Katrina. And one of our dear friends, her mother had us over for dinner. And we had a good time. She had dinner and everything. And after Katrina, that friend showed us pictures of her mother's home afterwards. Like everything, the kitchen was in the bedroom. The bedroom was in the living room. Like everything was just so, the water is so powerful. Everything was so disoriented. And one thing that I learned, and this is for all of you, if ever you are in a catastrophe situation, make sure you take a picture or a video of your belongings. Like if you have to evacuate your home, take a picture of it, take a video of it so it's time stamped so that you can prove to insurance, what you had. A lot of people that was involved with Katrina, they didn't have that. So it was hard to prove what they actually had. So definitely it might be not something you don't really think about, but it's definitely something to think about now moving forward. Even when it comes to college, when I drop my kids off at college, taking pictures of their room, making sure that everything that they have, especially if it's of some type of value, be it their computer, their television, whatever it is, taking a picture so that if anything ever happened, that will be our documentation. So I'm giving that to my younger self and for my older self too. And you're saying that some of your first cousins are here in California with you. Yeah, and they went to California too. Yes, for sure. And you've had it? Okay. And I remember when Katrina happened and a lot of people, their homes, I mean, they had their family members living with them. Maybe a 3-bedroom house has 15 people in it. So, I know for me, what I would do, I would send gift cards like to Walmart and stuff because I knew they would need paper towels, toilet paper, and that stuff that it would just be easy for them to pick up and, just to have for their home. But it was such an impact for the country, really. Oh my goodness. It destroyed your grandmother's house, but it was rented out, and your mom's house lost so much. Yeah. And I was thinking about where we used to live and how close it was to Lake Pontchartrain. And I always wondered, how did that house fare? It was a ranch house, and I don't know. I'm gonna go back for sure though, but I know by now it's probably all built up. Yes, we do. We need each other. We do. And that goes back into that relationships and social connections. It was everyone was so helpful, I feel back then. More helpful than the government for sure. We all knew it's all hands on deck. you know, Everyone trying to do something, trying to be of service in some kind of way. And we definitely all need each other for sure. All right, the next one is, and this is the last one, it's about self-care and mindset. What would you tell your younger self when it comes to self-care and mindset? Let me see. I'm just gonna type it in here. What would you tell yourself? Would you tell yourself that not being okay is okay? Would you say like, you know what? Not being okay is okay. It really is. Because I think that it's important to be in touch with your emotions. Understanding what your emotions are. It's more than just saying I'm okay or it was a good day or, no, it was bad. Why was it bad? Trying to understand what makes a day, what makes you tick, what really poked you that day. So you can be in tune with it for sure. Um, and you're saying that, oh, they were in Gentilly Woods? Okay. We lived in Kenner, which was right outside, was a suburb outside of New Orleans, on the other side of Gentilly. Get massages earlier. Yes. So I used to get massages every week. I used to go to the chiropractor every week when I was in my 20s and my 30s. And I feel like that helped a lot. Oh my goodness. And now I only get them maybe a couple of times a year, but I need to go back, getting back into that routine, just like working out. It has to be just part of what you do. It doesn't have to be this big announcement. It doesn't have to be, oh, this is where I'm going or where I've been. It's just what you do. Some things you do and you don't tell a soul. You just do it. That's what you do. And that's how I feel like self-care needs to be. It doesn't have to be this big production. And DC is saying, I will tell my younger self that therapy is a healthy thing. Yeah. And all my children, I know that was a soap opera, but I mean my children. I had encouraged them to, after graduating from college, to go to coaching and therapy outside of me, of course, because when you graduate college, when you go to that next level in your life, sometimes you need somebody to help you navigate that, to figure it out, to understand it, to know that you are doing okay, that this is the right move, or these are things you may encounter and how you need to strategize around it. And it has been very helpful. So my oldest two have already done that, and now I'm encouraging my youngest one. And luckily, because of COVID, you can do those types of therapy sessions virtually. Because before COVID, I don't think virtual therapy was a thing at all. Although I have always had coaching sessions virtually, because the majority of my clients live nowhere near me. They live in other states. But I know, like, when people think about therapy and counseling, it's always like in the room. I'm on her couch or his couch. But now doing it virtually is definitely a thing. And I think that's really important when you are going into a new relationship. We went through marriage counseling because that's what you were supposed to do. I don't even know if couples getting married are still doing that. I know our pastor back in the day wouldn't marry you unless you went through counseling with him. And it wasn't just a one session, it was multiple sessions. And he covered so many areas of your relationship: financial, emotional, spiritual, everything. You want to make sure that you are of one accord. And I know in some cases, he will even make recommendations that you might want to wait until you develop better for yourself in this area before combining your life with this person. He didn't say that to us, but I have heard that he said that to some people. But counseling as you go, if you go into a new position, you leveling up, getting an executive coach, getting a therapist that, can help you with your stress levels, because maybe you have more things that are on your plate, more responsibilities going into business, especially if you don't have that support of your inner circle. That therapist or that counselor or that coach can be that for you for sure. And also thank for working out regularly into your 40s, reaping the benefits because of that. Yeah. So you say you're thankful for doing that. Yeah, I wish I would have worked out longer. Oh my goodness, because y'all, I feel like I'm starting over all the time. Like, oh, and I keep starting over. That's the thing. It's not continuous. And so That's why I tell my younger self, I tell my children, do not stop working out no matter what. And when I was pregnant, I was so healthy. I always worked out when I was pregnant because I wanted to have a really easy labor and snap back after pregnancy, and that did help. And I just need to keep going. I need to keep going for sure. Before COVID, there were too many interstate regulations that didn't allow it. Oh, right, with therapy. Yup. And now it's not like that. It's not like that at all, which is really good. And I know because my son is he's a certified autistic therapist for children. And I remember I went with him to a book fair because he is an author too. And I went with him to not a book fair, it was a event, and he was a vendor there for his book. And in his bio, because he had like these postcards about his book, and it had his bio on there, and it was a couple that came through, and they were like, wow, our son has autism, and we would love to have you as his therapist because finding a Black male therapist is really hard. And I'm like, but he's in North Carolina and you're in Georgia. And they were like, that doesn't matter. Like, as long as you take insurance, we can do that. So that's a good thing now for therapists. And you grew up Catholic, so we got their version. And my ex-husband was non-denominational, so we got that too. Okay. I believe in the Catholic faith is called precania or something like that. The premarital counseling, precania, is that what it's called? I forget. And then your son is on the spectrum, and that you're writing a book about raising him. Okay. Listen, my son, he teaches, and he teaches in the EC class. And as challenging as some of his students are, I always ask him, "Are you okay? Like, is this still a good thing?" And he'll always say, "Mom, I don't mind. They're good students. Like, they're good. They're smart." He sees beyond their challenges, and I think that's the most beautiful thing. And I always tell him, "Your school is so fortunate to have you. Those parents are so blessed to have you." And I know that they know that because at the end of the year, end of the semesters, they they just lavish him with gifts because they do know how fortunate they are to have him. He really cares about the students, and doing the best on their behalf, which is so rare to find in teachers nowadays. So proud of him, and I pray for him all the time, all my kids. So also in slowing down and enjoying life's journey, a lot of young people want to hurry up and get to that end result. Like, oh, this is coming up, vacation's coming, I can't wait. I'm getting married, I can't wait. School's almost over, I can't wait. But guess what? It's gonna happen. So enjoy the process, enjoy the moments leading up to that. And that's definitely something I taught my children a long time ago. And I was so happy to see, like, especially my daughter that just graduated from Spelman, how she savored every moment. She wasn't trying to rush anything. She was really savoring each moment leading up to that last day because it's going to come here, and before you know it, it's over. That's how it was when I was planning our wedding. I enjoyed every moment. There was no, what do they call it? The bride of Frankenstein? No, that's not it. The Hellion bride? No, Bridezilla. I named so many things. I was not a bridezilla because I enjoyed every single moment leading up to the wedding. And I just remember we were in the reception, my husband and I, and we did this jumping the broom ceremony where we have 400 people that came to our wedding. And you know how usually you invite people and they RSVP that they're coming, and a percentage don't show up typically. Out of 400 people, only 2 people didn't show. And that was a lot. So it was a lot of people. And I listen, there's a lot of weddings out there. I get it. But I feel like our wedding was just everything. I know a lot of people, they renew their vows. I'll never do that because I feel like we did it right the first time. And I just remember the broom ceremony. We're in the middle. and everyone, all 400 people, are in a circle around us, like a huge circle around us. And our coordinator, she read the ceremony. It's a beautiful ceremony. And our family members, our parents, one at a time, our siblings, one at a time, godparents, we had grandparents, we didn't have any, but like our great aunts, our elders in our family, they came and they spoke. And as they were speaking, they tied a ribbon around the broom. And later on, after that particular ceremony, we had the broom in a place where all of our guests could tie a ribbon around it and wish us well, say a prayer, whatever they wanted. But we actually still have the broom hanging out outside of our bedroom door right now. And this is 29 years later. I still have that broom. But as the ceremony was taking place, and he and I are standing in the middle, and I just remember him and I looking around the room and saying, everyone in here loves us. Like, we are surrounded by love. And once our family said what they said, to us and tied the ribbon, we took the broom, he and I, and we swept around the circle. And as we're sweeping, the coordinator is saying, some really deep stuff, but we swept around the whole room, and then we placed the broom down, and then that's when we jumped it. And that's why I could never do it again. Like, it's one and done for me. You do it right the first time, you don't have to worry about rewinding and all that. So when you have that, I feel like the self-care and slowing things down, appreciating the journey, so when that moment comes, it's even that much more special. And I would say, don't overthink anything. Just don't overthink, because when you overthink, then that's when you get the analysis paralysis. That's when you start to have that self-doubt, and you don't want to have all of that. Let me see. Oh, you saying our soror Victoria Christopher Murray has a publishing company with an AKA, so I'm going to send it to her to publish. Slasher Chick, I believe you are AKA, so that's good to know. Do you know the name of the publishing company by any chance? All right, that's good to know. And Slasher Chick is saying, I'm trying to get it. My sister has autism as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm finding, a lot of people are being diagnosed with it. And I'm wondering, how did it show up in the 1900s? Because I don't remember that word. Just like I don't remember tilapia in the 1900s, just trying to put everything into perspective. Do y'all remember tilapia in the 1900s? I feel like it's a new fish, but I do know the history behind it in terms of where it's at now and what type of food it eats. And the countries that do have tilapia, what they use it for is not cute at all. That's why I don't eat it anymore. Yes, okay, you are. So we might need to do some deep diving and see what that publishing company is all about, because we got two members of the Divine Nine that have it. I'm sure it's phenomenal. Yes, and Brown Girl. Oh, is Brown Girl Publishing? Okay. Do y'all know Brown Girl Bella? She's a YouTube creator as well. She's a content creator. She's your soror slasher chick. Brown Gal Bella. Brown. Yeah. Brown. Okay, good. Because I know I'm saying it wrong. Can you put her name in the chat? Because I hate that I'm saying it wrong. She's real cool too. She's a good person, good people. But yeah, so Brown Girl Publishing. All right, I'm going to definitely mark that, because I am almost done. Slasher Chick, I'm almost done with my planner, my workbook planner, and that would be dope to get it published by them. I was thinking about getting it published, doing it self-publishing. That's how my son does his, but I'll definitely look into their publishing company as well. All right, everyone. So I just wanted to have this live, What's Up Wednesday, and what would you tell your younger self? And as you go through and have these conversations, I appreciate the conversations that you've had in this chat, but consider the young people that are in your life, and, how the things that you need to say to them. Don't just think it, say it. And you may look at them or they may look at you and you don't think it's resonating, but say it again. I always tell my children when I say certain things, I'm like, listen, you may not do what I'm saying, or you may not consider it. And I'm not trying to tell them what to do now. Don't get that. Don't get that. That's not it. But you may not consider the things that I'm sharing with you. However, you're going to hear this again. I just need you to know you heard it here first. So definitely share it. Don't be ashamed of sharing your journey and the ups and downs that you have had, your challenges. That's why there's not too much we said no to our children about, because I'm looking at my husband like, listen, you know how we were. So who are we to say no? As long as they're safe, they have God in their life, and they know that they are loved. What? So our children have done very well making decisions. And that's because I think we have been so open and share with them, you are real people too. You didn't just wake up as an adult. That didn't happen. And let's see. Thank you so much, Slasher Chick. We are almost there. I am on day 65. Wow, that's so amazing to me. And so I'm just going to read a couple of more comments. And the AK is also an author. All right, good. And her name is Rashonda Billingsley Tate. All right. That's good. All right. Oh, you know Bella too? Brown girl. Yeah, it is better than I told you so. It is. Listen. And they know. And the beautiful thing is, we all live long enough. We'll see that day when it all starts to make sense, where it's like, oh, okay, I remember that. All right, everyone, listen, I am going live every day for 90 days. I'm in this challenge. Slasher Chick is my accountability partner. She's going live too. And I don't think she's gone live yet. So if she hasn't, be sure to go check out her channel. She has some amazing content, especially if you are a content creator and you're trying to figure out this AI world and the tools and the tricks of the trade. She has it down packed and does it in such a way that I understand it. And that's saying a lot, trust. So definitely, she's very authentic and transparent. Not saying she knows everything. She says she doesn't. And she's willing to learn. That's the thing. She's not coming on here saying, like, I know it, I'm the end all be all. She'll say, I'm trying this right now with you. And that's a great thing. It's like a tutorial. So I appreciate you all for rocking with me tonight on my day 65. What? And I will be here tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow is Friday Eve. That's what I always call Thursdays. It is Friday Eve, and I'm excited for it, and I hope you are too. Again, thanks for tuning in. It has been my pleasure. This is what I do, and I loved sharing it with you. I am Coach Sherry.